In this video lesson, we are going to take what we learned about completing the square in our last video and use that to find the center and the radius of a circle. So let's take a look. Our job is to find the center and the radius of the circle. But notice it's not in the standard form that we need. The standard form that we need is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So here's what we do. We group similar terms. So here's what I mean. We have x squared, and I'm going to group that with 2x. And then we have y squared, and I'm going to group that with negative 4y. Now I'm going to complete this square, meaning I'm going to find a number that I can add to it so that I can rewrite it in this format, x minus h squared. So I'm going to say x squared plus 2x plus some number, so I'm going to say plus blank, plus y squared minus 4y plus blank has to equal 11. Well, so that I don't change the problem, whatever I do to one side, I need to do to the other. So I'm going to end up adding 2 blanks to both sides. So now let's go ahead and complete the square. Recall, in order to complete this square, you take your b value, you divide it by 2, and then you square it. So my b value is a 2. I'm going to take 2 divided by 2, which is 1, squared is 1. So I'm going to put a 1 on the left side, which means I need to put a 1 on the right side. Now let's come down here and complete the square. I'm going to take my negative 4, because that's my b value. I'm going to divide it by 2, and then I'm going to square it, and that's when it's going to go in my little blank right there. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2 squared is positive 4. All right, so I'm almost done. Now what I need to do is I need to rewrite x squared plus 2x plus 1 as a square, meaning I need to rewrite it as x plus something squared. Well, that something happens to be whatever the b divided by 2 was. So 2 divided by 2 in this situation was 1. Now here's how I know I'm right. If I were to take x plus 1 and I were to square it, meaning multiply it by itself, I'm going to FOIL this out. So x times x is x squared. X times 1 is x. 1 times x is another x. 1 times 1 is 1. And so I get x squared plus 2x plus 1, which is what I started with. So all this does, the x plus 1 parentheses squared, all that does is rewrite x squared plus 2x plus 1 in a format that I can use to find the center of a circle. I'm going to come down here and rewrite that. So I have x plus 1 squared plus, well now let's do the same for the y's. Now since my b value is a negative, I have a negative 4, it's going to go ahead and be y minus. And I'm going to take my b value and I'm going to divide it by 2. So my b value is negative 4 divided by 2 is that negative 2. So that's why I have minus 2 squared. Again, I could do the same thing I did with the x's. If I were to take y minus 2 times y minus 2 and I were to FOIL it out, I'd get y squared minus 2y minus 2y plus 4, which is y squared minus 4y plus 4. And that's what I started with. So the y minus 2 squared is just a different way for me to write the y squared minus 4y plus 4 equals 11 plus 1 is 12 plus 4 is 16. Well, now this is in the standard form of a circle. So now that it's in the standard form, I can identify the center. And the center here are those values. And remember, it's minus those values, so opposite of those. So my center is going to be at negative 1, positive 2. And my radius is going to be the square root of 16, which is 4. So there we go. Let's take a look at another one. I want you guys to try this one. So pause it. When you're done, come back and we'll see how you did. All right, so let's go ahead and complete this square. I'm going to group my x's. So I have x squared plus 6x plus blank plus now my y's. Y squared plus 2y plus blank equals that negative 1. And then since I added 2 blanks on the left, I have to add 2 blanks on the right. So to fill in those blanks, I'm going to take my b value, which is 6, divide it by 2, and then I'm going to square it. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, squared is 9. So I'm going to put 9 on both sides. Over here, my b value is 2. Divide that by 2 and square it. Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1, squared is 1. So add a 1. Now when I complete this square, it's going to be x plus whatever b divided by 2 is. And so 6 divided by 2 is 3 squared. Plus y plus my b is 2 divided by 2 is 1 squared equals, well, negative 1 plus 9 is 8 plus 1 is 9. Now that it's in standard form, I can identify the center of my circle. And the center is negative 3, negative 1. And the radius is the square root of 9, which is 3. So there you have it. That is how you can find the center and the radius of a circle by completing the square.